Good evening, everyone. We are all in it together, fighting with an enemy that is unseen, a midget that is making a mighty impact on mankind in general. We are all in it together, facing life's uncertainties. And by the end of it, though as a society, both nationally and globally, we are getting a bit more cautious and careful. But if you're feeling a bit confused and concerned, remember, you're not in it alone, but we are all in it together. My dear and very special audience, you're not alone. I would like to extend my warm welcome to our valued audience, and here's wishing my august panelists a very good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organization Informa Markets, champions in the exhibition space, to take up this highly critical topic on mental health, emotional intelligence, the booster to solve any pandemic, and give it the attention and the respect it deserves. Informa Markets in India, formerly UBM India, is India's leading exhibition organizer dedicated to help specialist markets and customer communities domestically and around the world to trade, innovate, and grow through exhibitions, digital content and services, conferences and seminars. In India, Informa Markets has offices across Mumbai, New Delhi, Bangalore, and Chennai. Informa Markets is owned by Informa PLC, a leading B2B information services group and the largest B2B event organizer in the world. Its vertical CBME India is the largest child, baby, and maternity product business expo in India that offers a platform to local and global manufacturers and sellers of baby products an opportunity to connect, network, and conduct businesses. It's truly a matter of pride that an organization of such repute and magnitude is standing by a topic of such vitality. It truly speaks highly of the organization's vision and rightly defines the term purpose before profit. At this point, I would like to take this opportunity to invite Mr. Yogesh Mudras, the Managing Director, Informa Markets in India, to address the audience. Thank you, Mr. Mudras. It's an honor to have you with us at this special panel and a special webinar.
Thank you so much, Rima, and very good afternoon to all the audience who has registered here for this very special webinar. My warm welcome to all the distinguished speakers who have agreed to join us on this webinar. Dr. Sandeep Kelkar, who is MD, pediatrician and founder director, Equipoise Learning. Dr. Sapna Patkar, who is clinical psychologist, counselor, wellness consultant at Leelavati Hospital, and also the founder of Dream and Happiness Wellness. And also Mr. Hemant Lavangare, founder director of Master My Life EQ Education. Of course, to Rima Lokesh, who is founder Remarkable.com, life coach and clarity coach consulting, who is agreed to be the moderator for the session today. Coming to the industry that we are from, the global baby products market, which we represent, is valued at nearly $11 billion as of now, if you see. And it is expected to register a growth of over 5% over the next quite a few years. And this is all due to rising spending capability and changing lifestyles. India, as we all know, is the second most populous country in the world with over 1.3 billion people, comprising mostly of youth. 35.3% of our population is in the age of 0 to 14 years, as per the census in 2001. And India has the largest number of babies in the world. I'm sure you all know that, in the age group of 0 to 5. The Indian baby care product market is projected to grow at around over 10%, which is double the size of the global market, and during the period 18 to 24, and is undergoing a phase of complete innovative transformation in the recent years, making India a worthwhile market for such products among emerging nations. Formerly, this industry, which was in nascent stage, was considered a niche from Indian perspective, but is now going through a great metamorphosis where players are constantly involved in innovative development to widen the market by using new technologies and advancing market approaches. If you look at the Indian industry per se, India is in this particular industry is made up of a lot of manufacturers, but at the same time we also have a lot of dealers, distributors, and importers. As we know, currently, if we look at the scenario which we are in the times of COVID, in fact, there's a big impact on the import part of business, where the imports may get impacted in the near or middle term. But having said that, it's a big opportunity for all the manufacturers to step up and create these unique products for the market. CBME has played this vital role for this market over years now, showing this demand, in fact, impacting this demand for novel products and truly making parenting easy and joy. It also gathers the entire buyer and seller community to increase the penetration, reach, and variety of child maternity and baby care products in the country to generate more business. Coming to the topic today, which is being discussed, the mind matters, emotional intelligence, the booster to fight in the pandemic. It's such a apt topic in this current scenario. We are all staying in confines of our home, and we want to bring something relevant to you. A stress of business, stress of what lies in the future, stress of overall life, as we are social beings, and we are not meant to be stuck at home. So we are all going through a different kind of mental makeup right now. So I think this is a very relevant topic. Our expert panelists are going to touch this and surely address a lot of your concerns. Please make it as interactive as possible. And we, as the Inform Markets in India, will look forward to bringing, as well as CBME, will look forward to bringing many more such engaging opportunities for you in the near future. So enjoy the session and look forward to a very interactive one. Thank you so much. Over to you, Reema.
Yes. Mr. Mudras, thank you for this insightful explanation of the industry, and more so, once again, thank you to you and Informa Markets for bringing this topic into fore, sir, because it's not easy to speak about mental health, and people like you and your organization give this importance, and that makes us happy. Thank you very much. I move on to my respectable panelists. Mr. Mudras has done the needful of introducing them, so I will not take much of your time. I get in right into the conversation with Dr. Sandeep Kelkar, MD Pediatrician, Founder, Director, Equipoise Learning. Respected doctor, you have given your years to the dedication of this interesting segment of children, teens, adolescents. They are a force to be reckoned with. They are a force that cannot be ignored. Dr. Sandeep, can you please throw some light on your research, especially topics like RAIN, the 6 skills of EI in emotional development? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I'm just starting the session. And it's an absolute pleasure to communicate with all the attendees all over India. And I, being a pediatrician, I'm not only concerned about the physical well-being of children, but I'm concerned about the mental well-being of children as well. And so this topic is very apt for today's talk. About what's happening right now is the really disturbing times, in unprecedented times when there is COVID-19 pandemic. And we are facing a myriad of emotions right now. And if I ask you, how are you feeling? We'll have to actually, you put your mind's eye and look into your emotional state and, find out how you're feeling. And these are actually the VUCA times, we can say. And it stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous times, isn't it? And all over, we are facing certain feelings which are very, very peculiar. Like all of us are facing, we are feeling overwhelmed, we are feeling scared, we are feeling anxious, we are feeling stressed out, we are feeling sometimes boredom, lonely. All those feelings are there. Yeah. So why should we care for these feelings? And what we do with these feelings is going to matter a lot. Because these feelings are just not coming to you to make you uncomfortable. And that is the science which is telling that all these feelings and emotions which we have, they matter a lot in our life. Because they have impact. The science of emotions says that they have impact on our attention and learning, our decision-making capacity, our relationships, and even our mental and physical health. I would like to give 1 or 2 examples. Just imagine a child who is feeling scared or feeling anxious. will he be able to focus and attend to what he is doing, any task, maybe studies or anything? Just anxiety blocks everything, and he is not able to learn, attend to, and even memorize things, isn't it? Another thing is, about relationships. There is a lot of going on all over the world, and there is domestic violence which is going on, and there are increasing number of domestic violences which are seen. What's happening in relationships in houses? The emotions which are evoked, they are intense emotions, and probably they have impact on the relationships also. And all these emotions, they really matter. And if they basically either help us or hurt us. And if we have certain skills, then these emotions will start helping us rather than hurting us, isn't it? And that's what the concept of emotional intelligence is actually. That if we are, smarter and intelligent about our own emotions as well as others' emotions, these emotions will start working for us rather than against us. And all these emotions, according to the new paradigm, new science of emotions, is they are just there are neurohormones which are there in the mind and body, which are coming to us to give us information about what's happening in us and around us. Only thing what we need to do is see intelligently, work intelligently on those emotions, and be smart about your emotional life. And for that, we require certain skills. And what are those skills? And these are called the skills which are not counted when we measure basically IQ, that is intellectual quotient of the child or adult. So these emotional intelligence skills are the three important skills which we need to know. Is about they are beyond IQ skills. That is, they are not measured in normal academic intelligence skills. So a child or an adult can be really intelligent in academics, but he or she may be having challenge in other skills which are beyond beyond IQ, and those are mainly related to the emotional intelligence skills. And secondly, they are all teachable, learnable, and enhanceable. So emotional intelligence skills are not fixed like a genetic lottery, like what IQ we talk about. They are basically learnable, enhanceable, and teachable. And what are these skills, and why in these disturbing times we need to do something about our feelings? Because as we said, that we need to care about them because they have impact on us. Everything, what we do, how we perform, our relationship, our decision making. So what we do with them, all these emotions really count in life, isn't it? So these skills, which are basic 6 set of skills, which are important, and there is a science behind it, that all these skills can develop right from early childhood. And there is a way that parents, caregivers, teachers, all we can develop these skills one by one according to the milestones of development of these skills in children from right from early age. So what are these skills, and why in this period of a disturbed time and pandemic, these skills are important? For example, the first skill, which is set of skill called as emotional literacy. We talk about literacy in schools, isn't it? And we teach all the languages of languages like Hindi, English, and all the languages to children. But do we teach language of emotions to children? That's a missing piece in everywhere, isn't it? And emotional literacy is about recognizing, accurately identifying, and labeling your emotions. So right now, if you are feeling certain big feelings, for example, anxiety, scare, overwhelmed, stressed out, if you have the skill of emotional literacy, of naming and being aware about your own emotion and giving an accurate name to it, accurate word to it, the intensity of the emotion will go down. Because there is a science which is called as name it to tame it. So if you name your emotion, the intensity of the emotion will go down. If you are feeling anxious right now, just giving a word that I notice that I am feeling anxious, the anxiety levels will go down. So that's very interesting fact that these emotional literacy skills can help us in these disturbing times. Of course, being aware of the emotions is the start of everything. It's a fundamental skill on which is the next skill which is best, that is emotion management. How are we going to regulate these emotions? Do we need to regulate these emotions? And what happened a few days back, there was a lot of anxiety when was this lockdown was declared, and there was panic buying, you remember? And that was because of this scare and anxiety which was so overwhelming that people got hijacked by these emotions. And if we know how to manage these emotions, and if we can teach these skills to children, they will be able to better face these emotions in future. So then comes the next skill of emotions, which is very important, especially during this time, is empathy. When you are stressed out, practicing empathy will reduce the stress levels. And that's a science proven thing. If we can identify and tune into others' feelings, which is what empathy means, and actually respond effectively to those, whatever the person is feeling, it's going to be very impactful. And nowadays in family, when 24/7, all the stakeholders are there, these empathy skills are going to matter a lot. Understanding how other person is feeling. For example, parents, if they know that there are emotions which are driving the behavior of the child, isn't it? So if the child is throwing temper tantrums or is behaving vaguely or in a weird way, there's something which is happening inside him or her, which is causing this misbehavior, or we call it misbehavior. And these emotions need to be connected with by the parents, need to be addressed by the parent. So the communication becomes important in that way. Then comes the skills which are related to relationships. Now in this skills, there is a basic skill of how to manage others' feelings. We talked about how to manage your own feeling, but then how to manage others' feelings comes in relationship skills. And that's so important, because in any relationship, unless first you need to regulate your own feelings and then regulate others' feelings, isn't it? When you are doing parenting, the first thing we need to do is, in front of child, is regulate and manage our own feelings. Then only you can be able to better manage the child's and others' feelings. So in relationship, all these all these matters a lot, and these are again learnable skills. Again, optimism. Sometimes in these disturbing times, we have a lot of thoughts which are on the pessimistic side. There's catastrophizing thoughts. And if you are not aware about your thoughts, and if you are not able to change and shift those thoughts from pessimistic to little hopeful and accurate and positive, realistic thoughts, you may become at the end of the day really depressed, sad, and a lot of scare and anxious. So if you have these skills which are related to thoughts and emotions, you can actually shift. And last but not the least, we have the sixth set of emotional intelligence, is the emotion harnessing, in which comes the skills of intrinsic motivation, conflict resolution, problem solving. So at present, we are facing a lot of challenges. So how we can utilize this concept of emotional intelligence and emotions to navigate through these issues, through these problems. So all these six set of skills, if you can see, they are very vital, especially now. Of course, they are vital all the time, isn't it? And for all children to really become successful, healthy, and have a lot of physical and mental well-being, these skills will be the key skills of 21st century for anyone, be it in children in schools, be it in corporate employees, or be it in anybody in medical field, for example, even doctors. So all these skills matter a lot, and these are going to have impact on how we exactly behave and how we exactly to be, we are effective in this, challenging times. So that's little bit about, how these skills can be, improved and what these skills are. And the way we communicate with the children as parents is going to actually tell them about these skills. And if we role model these skills, which are in front of children, it's going to help definitely, because it starts with us, isn't it? And the children are watching and learning from us about emotions right from early age. If we are very effective in dealing with our emotions and use all those skills of emotions ourselves, it's going to be really helpful for everyone. I think with that, I think I give over to Ms. Rima, and we can take up questions if we have questions later. Thank you.
Rima, your voice.
Dr. Sandeep, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I just said that Thank you so much, because you've taken us all on a very interesting journey, that you say that your mind is the powerhouse. It takes you from hurt to healing. It takes you from confusion to clarity. And most importantly, you said parents and caregivers, you need to check and regulate your emotions first before you handle your children. Dr. Sandeep Kelkar, Mr. Hemant Lavangare, and Dr. Swapna, you will be very happy to know that I've been flooded with questions. While I'm talking today, I can see around 18 questions right here with me. So I think we need to move on and respect our audience. So I now go on to Mr. Lavangare. He is the founder director of a very interesting institution called Master My Life EQ. Mr. Lavangare, can I bring you in to speak to our audience about behavioral intelligence and DISC, and how do you relate it to this very special age group? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rima. I want the screen share to me. Screen sharing, please. So, audience, while the screen is being shared, so I'm Hemant from Master My Life EQ Education. So we specialize in emotional intelligence, behavioral intelligence, and neuro-linguistic programming infused postgraduate management programs, and we conduct these programs at University of Mumbai. Today, in this seminar, I'm going to brief you on utilization of emotional and behavioral intelligence in times like current, which Dr. Kelkar has rightly stated, anxious time, especially the children as well as parents are feeling the heat. So I'm going to start from the emotional intelligence, and then I will take you to a journey into the DISC, which is behavioral intelligence, and I'm going to give you some techniques to handle a different kind of people, or the children, or even children managing their parent and the parent managing their children, both sides. So screen sharing, please.
Mr. Prasad? Can we have the screen?
Yeah, to share the screen probably yourself.
Yeah, Hemantji, you can share the screen. You have to share it.
No. So you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. So doctor has to first close it, and then it
Yeah,
can
you
happen.
can share now. You can share now.
Okay. Yes. Is it visible to everyone? Is shared screen visible to everyone?
Yes, for
Yeah.
me, yes.
Yes. Okay. So Dr. Kelkar has already stated key parameters or the key ingredients of emotional intelligence. I'm going to explain you this in a simple 2x2 matrix. Emotional intelligence is all about you as well as other. So the you is here referred as self on the screen, and the other is referred as social. So there are two factors in the emotional intelligence: understanding yourself and understanding others. So these are the two factors. And on the left hand side of the screen, you will see that recognition of you and others is one quadrant, and regulation of the you as well as others is another quadrant. So these two quadrants put together are so now you are having four areas. Starting with you, it is self-awareness and self-management. So the self-awareness is all about knowing yourself. And in emotional intelligence, there are a variety of the techniques, including Zohari window and 360-degree feedback, including meditation, to know yourself. From the self-awareness, then you go to self-management. Again, there are a variety of the techniques to enhance your self-management and self-regulation. Then you go to the social awareness, which is basically empathy. putting yourself into the feelings and the emotions of other people. And then it is about the social skills. So understanding how to behave in a social environment. Unfortunately, in India, emotional intelligence is not part of our school education because our school education is too much focused on the IQ and mathematics and science and languages, and we give very less emphasis on the emotional wisdom. So, if not, say, from the government side, at least from our side, professionals, there are now many professionals who are joining hands with us to enhance emotional intelligence awareness in the society. So this is about emotional intelligence. I'm talking about the 4 quadrants. And as doctor has rightly said, it is very much possible that anyone with an average IQ can learn emotional intelligence from the childhood itself. Now, how to take benefit from this particular wisdom of emotional intelligence? So I will now go to the next stage of behavioral intelligence. When I say behavioral intelligence, broadly there are 4 behavior patterns. Of course, this 4 then gets multiplied by 4, and then there are 16 patterns, but broadly there are 4 patterns called as D, I, S, and C. So the D people are very direct people, result oriented people. I people are very social people, enthusiastic people, people oriented people. S people are very helping in nature people. They like people. C people are perfectionist, task oriented, accurate. So these are the 4 quadrants. So if you see the top circle is basically action oriented, result oriented quadrant. If you see the bottom 2 behavioral patterns, they are mainly about the stability. If you divide the circle vertically, if you talk about the D and C, so D and C people like challenges, like task. And if you see I and S, which is right side of the circle, we are talking about people who like social interaction, people who are enthusiastic, people like interacting with the people. So in management, especially the parents who are here or the management professionals who are here, we always talk about the task orientation at one hand and the people orientation on one hand, and the real leader is the person who understand importance of the both and manages task as well as people. So the DISC is about this particular management and the leadership. Now, why I'm talking about this kind of management or the behavioral pattern in this particular webinar is how it happens that 90% of our relationship problems, when I say the relationship, it is not only professional relationship, it is personal relationship, it is relationship within the family. 90% of our relationship issues are dependent only related to the behavioral intelligence. Each type of behavior pattern comes up with pros and cons, comes up with what they like, what they don't like, comes up with a different communication style, comes up with a different decision making style. Now, what we do generally, that is we behave as per our own style. For example, if I'm a parent and my style is D style, I'm very result oriented and action oriented professional throughout my life. I like challenges. But my son or daughter has S style. So if you see in this circle, the S is opposite to the D. Now, S people like support, encouragement, people orientation. Now, if I talk to my son or daughter who is S style oriented, then that son or daughter will never understand my language because they will understand their behavior pattern language. So we understanding the behavior pattern of our parents and our children and our near and dear ones is vital for establishing good relationships. So this is the point I would like to make in this particular slide. But now you will wonder that is okay. Now we understand that, okay, there are maybe 4 styles. And of course, this seminar is not related to entirely behavioral intelligence. So I'm not going to explain you the exact characteristics of the DISC rather than the introduction only. But definitely, I would like to add value in giving you some tips, right? If you are D or I or S or C, which you will come to know when you will take an online test. And if you want to take an online test, I can help you. So you can take that test free of cost. Now, I will explain you starting with D. If you are a behavior pattern D person, or your kid is behavior pattern D. Now, what are the expectations of the D people, or how you need to communicate or deal with these action-oriented, result-oriented people? So they always look for a very brief and the bottom line discussion. They don't want you to repeat yourself. Now, I have seen parents repeating their children one thing again and again. You do this. Why you are not doing it? Now, unfortunately, if that particular kid belongs to the D pattern, that kid is going to hate that discussion only because of your approach. It is not because of your content. You might be talking very sense, and the kid is supposed to, or kid has started understanding what you are saying, but because only you are repeating, and because you are not being brief, and you are talking and talking and talking, he is going to close the communication channel with you.
Right.
The D people don't like you to challenge them. The D people don't like them to give order, right? So you need to create an environment, or you need to motivate themselves in a way wherein they have to take work themselves. So this is the technique of managing D people. Yes, Rima.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, please.
So Mr. Lavangare, and I just wanted to say that, we can probably take 1 or 2 questions that are also coming in.
Yes. Done. Please, Rima.
The parent to communicate, right, to the child, keeping this very important scientific tool in mind.
There is some disturbance in the voice.
I couldn't hear the question actually.
No,
can you please repeat it?
Right. You're saying, Mr. Lavangare, very clearly that it's so important, keeping the scientific tool of DISC in mind. It's important for parents to understand the communication skills with their child.
Very right. So this is the point what I am making.
Right. So at this positive point, I would like to bring our third esteemed panelist, Dr. Swapna Patkar. Dr. Swapna Patkar is a clinical psychologist. She's a wellness consultant. She is associated with the Leelavati Hospital, and most important, she also runs a foundation called Dreams and Happiness. And the thing about Dr. Patkar is she is a lady on the ground. She is working with COVID patients every day, handling people in the hospital. So Dr. Patkar, I bring you in to please tell my audience about the uncertainties that we face as human beings, and what do you see on ground?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Rima, and the organization for getting me out of the PPE today. To begin with, let me tell you, I do not have a screen to share, but I'm here to share my experiences. And to start with, let me tell you the name of my organization is Dream and Happiness, because that's where everything starts and ends. The problem today is with the lockdown and the situations around us, dreams and happiness are at a toss. And here I am to tell you all that I hear from people these days. Different kinds of queries are coming in, different kinds of questions coming in for my son is not eating, my husband is not helping me, my wife is sleeping and she refuses to work, she says she is not well, and my son doesn't stop watching the movies or YouTube or Netflix. Varied questions coming in. But then there are very easy ways. I understand. I think Dr. Kelkar and Mr. Hemant have explained the module of EI very correctly. But somewhere, at this point of time, I realize that parents are missing out on certain nitty-gritties that they have been following earlier. But since they are stressed also, they're not being able to deal with things easily. There are certain points I'd like to mention. There's a lot of information sharing happening every day. Husband and wife talking to each other about what is going to happen. So many cases today. This has happened, that has happened, and the children are listening. Somewhere we fail to understand that they are intelligent and they are storing that data in their mind too. So whatever you share amongst yourselves in the family, if you think that your child is young and does not understand, I'm really sorry to say, they understand everything and they're processing that data. So you have to really, really filter what data is going to your children at home. There's no reason why you must keep talking about the data all the time. I see so many families discussing the same thing over and over again the whole day. I think data all day is not important. Secondly, what I see is fear of uncertainty. We as adults do not know things. What will happen? When will things change? How will things change? Imagine children. They are exactly like adults. They have the same problems. When will I go to school? When will I go to play? How will these things change? When will these people go to office? And so many questions in the mind. So tackling this uncertainty with children is very important, which we will talk about later. I'll give you some small ideas on how to do that. Planning. We need to do some kind of planning here. There's some kind of training required. There are so many children who have processed wrong data. Like, let's say parents say, oh my God, people come and take you. And then you have no control over yourself. And the child will keep thinking about it whole night. Oh my God, what if, somebody from the government comes and picks me up? The child will not walk up to you and say that I'm scared of it. But they will keep thinking about it. So my suggestion is that when there is a question of uncertainty, there has to be some preparation done with children also. We need to tell them really what is happening and how you are prepared to deal with it. If you give them a feeling that, oh my God, as a parent, I don't know how to deal with it, they are going to get scared. So as parents, it is our responsibility to talk to our children and tell them that, listen, whatever happens, we are together and we know how to deal with it. You're in control, I'm in control. So that problem gets sorted when there is a good dialogue between parents and children on a daily basis about what is happening. The third point is too many instructions. Like we discussed, children do not like too many instructions because on a daily basis when things are okay, parents are not available for giving that many instructions. They are used to parents being at office. And suddenly, hey, the whole family is at home all the time. 24/7, you're seeing the same faces. That's where all the fights come in. That's where all the too much of instruction sharing comes in. And that is what kids do not like. The mother wants the child to get up and have bath. But the child has a valid question. Have bath and do what? Where do I go? What do I do? It's important that we give them a schedule and follow it ourselves also. I see so many parents telling their children, get up and have a bath, and they don't have bath till evening. That doesn't work. I think we need to have a schedule. Each one has to plan a schedule, follow it, and then give it to children instead of just passing it on to them as instructions. Too much time in hand is also a problem. You don't know what to do. Technically, people have been cribbing about traffic jams. People have been cribbing about no time with family. And when God has given you all that, we don't know what to do with that time. Let's sit down and make a list of all the things that we could do with our family right now. Play games. You could look at your old photographs, photo albums. You can watch movies together. Maybe you as kids must have watched some good movies. Share them with your children. Watch them with them. Talk about some good books that you have read. There is so much that can be done on a daily basis if you take efforts. Now the parents have to be the teachers, take the role and start planning the next day for your children. Don't leave them free and be a part of activities that they do. It's not necessary that the mother and the father and everybody has to be a part of the activity every time, but people can share roles. Somebody can take rest and then the other one can keep the child busy or something like that. Some plan has to be done, but somewhere I have a lot of time this situation has to change. I see a lot of parents who come for counseling. They understand this technique and then say, now we have no time. There's so much to do. We are waiting. You know, we don't want the lockdown to get over because there is so much remaining, so much balance. So that happens only when we have a plan ready in hand. It's like a to-do list that you do for your work. And definitely, I'm telling you, that things will change for you at home. Another thing that we see is lack of privacy. On normal occasions, each one goes to their work. Each one has their mobile phone in their pockets, in their hand or somewhere. And nobody has an access to your life, your self-life. Like we say, there's a professional life, there's a personal life, and there's a self-life. These days, when everybody is at home and there is a constant CC camera on everyone, there is lack of privacy. Even children want privacy. All the time, if you are being watched, even though they are family members, it becomes very stressful and very difficult to handle. So I suggest all the parents to understand this factor and give them some privacy for some time on a daily basis. That does not mean giving them YouTube or a screen time or something like that. It means let them loose and let them do what they want. There's no need of planning the whole day, but leave some time for them when they can do whatever they want. They can talk to people, they can play games or whatever, PS4 or something. Monotonous life has to change. For some people, the same day is repeated every day. Repetition makes you mad. Then whether it is a day or a relationship, we get tired of people also. If our own people start, Reema's smiling right now. If our same people, our loved ones start behaving in the same way every day, we get bored. There has to be some zing. Why do we have Sundays? Why do we have vacations? To change the mode, you know, to change the setting of our mind. I think we need to plan. This is my Sunday, or have 2 Sundays in a week. These days, people don't realize if it is a Monday, Thursday, or a Sunday. People have lost track of days and dates. So understand you need to have a break from the monotonous routines that you have. When you plan days, of course, this will happen. But in case if you aren't able to plan it in the right way, still decide one day as a Sunday and let it look different. Let it be different. Everybody has to behave differently, do different things so that the monotony is broken somewhere. As far as the screen time is concerned, I'd like to say that each one has the right to screen time. We cannot stop everyone. I mean, like you will be on WhatsApp all the time checking news and talking to people about things, and then you want your children not to check anything. It's not happening. What we need to do is assemble everybody's cell phone or everybody's screen at one place in the house and nobody touches it. Let's have one rule for everyone, and that will really work. Have some innovation. Have some innovation in doing different things. Also, data exchange is happening. Kids are talking to their teachers. Kids are talking to their friends, and you really don't know what the kids are sharing. In the same way, you know, you would want to try on their phone. I recently had a case where the mother tried to open the child's phone and the child was very angry and refused to have food for 4 days. This is happening in places where the mothers are getting possessive. What are my children sharing? What is happening? There's a simple way. A constant dialogue with your children. Constantly, you need to make them aware of what can happen on social media. What are the hazards of sharing your personal stuff with people? I think if parents can maintain that good constant dialogue with them, such things will be taken care of. So I suppose with this, I'll pass on to Reema for more questions because I'm very eager to answer the real-time questions.
Dr. Swapna, thank you very, very much. I mean, really, first and foremost, forget me as the moderator. I'm the mother. And as a mother, I thank all 3 of you. I thank all 3 of you for being so insightful, for bringing value to me and bringing value to my 200 plus participants. And the flow of questions, I don't know where do I begin, but I have to because it's so important to respect them. They've got something very valid to share. First and foremost, there have been people who are saying thank you very much to my panelists and they find your energy brilliant. I've got a thank you note for Dr. Kelkar. I've got a thank you note for you, Swapna ma'am. I've got a thank you note for you, Sir Hemant Davangare, sir. They're very, very happy with all that you guys have said to us. Most importantly, there's this question that somebody is asking me. I have their names. I would respect their identity and hence not reveal their names. What if this is for Dr. Kelkar maybe, there is this question that they're saying that what if I am emotionally intelligent, 100%, I'm in control, but this person opposite me is completely out of control. What do I do in such a situation? He refuses to just understand what I'm saying. Dr. Kelkar, do you have something for this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very interesting question. And I feel that emotional intelligence is so much important because facing such people who are not so high EQ is really a challenge, isn't it? And there is something which is beyond your control. You cannot change other people's behavior and emotions. So, but definitely you can deal yourself. You can get equipped, and you can utilize your skills to face these situations and issues, isn't it? So, definitely about your children as parents, you can definitely do a lot of things right from early age. And I feel that Dr. Swapna mentioned about communicating with the kids. So just communicating is not important. It is how we communicate is so much important, isn't it? Because as parents, they are learning about emotions from us. We are role models. If I am angry and child is throwing temper tantrums or being aggressive, and I'm shouting at the child, don't be angry, with a loud voice, what am I, actually portraying in front of the child? I am role modeling that shouting is okay when you are angry. That's it. So how we actually communicate? So for that, I think we talk about, best response, BEST, which stands for how your body language is there, whether you're aware about when you're as a parent talking with the child, how is your eye contact with the child, whether you are talking on the phone and then talking with the child at the same time, how is your speech, the words which you use. The most important thing which we need to know is the speech, the words, and the tone, how we use it. So all this is very important when you are having a dialogue. And when we actually deal with children's feelings, especially intense feelings, we need to first acknowledge and validate them. First, we need to accept them, approve them. Because unless we accept and approve children's feelings, they are not going to behave well. And they are not going to get, learn about emotions properly. Because behavior is just an external thing, which many times we get connected with more. But parents, we need to connect with the internal world of the child. If we connect with their thoughts, with their feelings, automatically the behavior will change. Because when the child feels right, the child behaves well. And there's a science behind this. So you cannot just change the behavior directly or focus more on the behavior, focus on the feelings, validate them. If the child is calm and is clinging to you, maybe a toddler, because he or she is feeling that insecurity and panic, it's going to be very important that at that time you address the emotions behind that behavior. It seems that you are really feeling scared. Just saying that validates the feeling. So that's very important. So I think to answer your question, when you have the emotional intelligence skills, you can definitely manage other people's behavior in a better way. So you cannot change people's emotional intelligence levels because that's beyond your control. But definitely you can, at that time, actually, your emotional intelligence are, useful. When your people around you who are not behaving well or who are very aggressive and all those things. So at that time, how you can be peaceful, calm, and assertive and talk with them in a very regulated way, that's going to be helpful. So it starts with us as parents, and then it gets reflected on the children. That's the key takeaway, I think.
Right. Dr. Kelkar, just one request. If you can just check your audio, there was a little bit of a disturbance. That's one. While I move on to the next question. Yeah, I'll move on to this very.
Am I heard properly?
Now it's better.
Audible?
Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, now it's better. Yeah. There is one thing which I think 7 to 8 parents are asking me. Dr. Kelkar, actually, there are a few very technical medical questions which I would request the parents then to talk to you on a personal level because I wouldn't want to bring this on this forum. They're very technical medical questions for health, physical health, but we are talking mental here. So I'm going on to the other questions where parents have, I'm just making them as an amalgam that how do you tackle the furious child during this lockdown? He is being, as Dr. Swapna said, he's feeling controlled, he's feeling being judged, he's feeling locked down. How do you handle this pressure? Somebody can take this for me, please.
Yeah. So
Maybe Dr.
yeah.
Hemant, you want to
Yes.
just
Yeah.
take this pressure thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So I can have my own view on this particular perspective. So uh, we should divide this particular behavior of the child between the two age brackets. One is till 13 and one is 14 and beyond. So first I will talk on 14 and beyond, because uh, now with this modern world, digital world, uh, i I think that the 14 means it's an adult child. He knows much more and he is actually into the mental adulthood. 14 and above, children do not like parents controlling or teaching them. 14 and above, they need to be coach. They have this particular generation, right, is much different than our generation. And since the parents are here, I would like to give some good news to the parents that you don't have to worry. This particular generation is going to manage this kind of crisis much better than what we are equipped to. In my opinion, adults like us might face even more problems because we come from a different kind of psychological background, different kind of culture. For we are not this kind of digital natives, and we like physical interaction and all that. So for us, for means the age bracket of say 30s 40s will find more difficult. But this particular young generation is not only going to survive this particular crisis, but they are going to come out strong. So this is a positive news what I would like to give it to you. How to manage
Wonderful.
the child who is very angry? So the number one, the root cause of child getting very angry in most of the cases is you, like Dr. Kelkar has said, you not understanding the emotions or the feelings of the child. And actually, my experience that it is 20% of the cause. It is very important cause. It is the root cause, no doubt. But 80% of the cause, you are the cause. The way you are behaving, the way you want to control, the way you want to judge, the way you are extremely anxious about the child, means current situation and the future, that unnecessarily stress. And if you are not behaving aligned with the behavior pattern of the child, he is going to get angry. So again, definitely understanding the feelings on the emotions of the child is the root cause. But the another root cause is you loosening up your own control, you loosening up your own behavior, and you understanding your and child's behavior pattern and behaving accordingly to manage the anger, or to control the anger from coming out in the first place. Yes, Rima.
Wonderful. Yes, yes.
I
So,
have
so
something
once
to say
again,
here.
Yes, yes,
Dr.
Rima.
Swapna, I have a very pertinent question for you, which is coming straight from the audience.
Okay.
Dr. Swapna, they're very happy with few of the points you've really made, and so really thank you very much. There is a mother who really wants to know, so Dr. Swapna, how to. She says how to be creative, organize dream parties, how to reduce anxiety, and how do I increase the bonding time with my child? How do I increase it? Because my child is kind of getting bored sometimes.
Okay, I'd like to start by addressing what the initial question was in a little nutshell, which is also extension of the question that this is. Generally, what happens is children get furious, they are tired, they are bored. We think they are bored because of the lockdown, because they don't know what to do. But there is a life, a different life that they are living. Getting furious is a symptom. The root cause could be anything. I recently had a case where a girl child was not ready to listen to the parents, and she was very angry all the time. They called for an online counseling. She was not ready for the counseling because the parents were around her. Then she said, I will have a counseling when I'm alone. And she said, I had a breakup with my boyfriend over a WhatsApp. She's a 13-year-old girl, and they had a breakup because of the lockdown. They had some fight on WhatsApp and they broke up. She does not want to share this with her parents, but she is in tremendous trouble. So at times what happens is, if parents are not friends, children do not want to share anything with them. So, sharing good time with them starts by becoming their friends. If you can start sharing your mistakes with them, if you can start sharing about your fears and how you used to be when you were a kid, probably they will connect with you. And then being creative with them, spending time with them and having same hobbies or doing something together becomes very easy. Like I mentioned, watching photographs, old time photographs is an activity I'm suggesting to people because it takes you close. Initially, we didn't have time to spend with children. Suddenly we have a lot of time. We don't know what to do. You can start cooking with them. You can start taking their help in your office work. You can ask them, can you help me do this? Can you teach me how Zoom works? Can you teach me how Instagram is? Can you open an account for me? Probably if you make them a part of your life, they will make you a part of their life also. So the idea is to become friends so that they will reveal the root causes of all their problems with you also. And then spending time becomes easy.
Yes.
Team Informa Markets, we are at 5 o'clock. But let me be honest, there are some very, very pertinent questions. Do I have the permission to take it on for the next few minutes, please?
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead with my questions? As for the host, can you all permit me to go on with my questions?
Yeah, Rima, sure.
It's respectfully 5 o'clock. It's my duty to ask you.
Yeah, Rima, sure.
All right. And if the audience can be as active as they are, they've been brilliant. This question is actually coming in from a person. I think very clearly it's a mother. There is a dilemma about online learning. But schools are often facilitating e-learning now, considering the lockdown and this online classes. My kid doesn't want to go to school anymore. Are there any apps that can be more interesting? We're just very confused with this entire focus now on online learning and the use of mobile phones. What can we do, please? It's a mother talking here.
Yeah. So, Rima, I can just share my yesterday's experience only. Can I go ahead?
I'm sure, Doc. I'm sure, Mr. Hemant Lamagari.
Yeah. So yesterday I was attending one webinar wherein there were many vice chancellors of the variety of the universities, and the MD of Coursera was present, and they were talking about the face of education, that is education 4.0 after COVID-19. And everybody has recognized that the online education will be the future. And to put it rightly, especially to this particular forum, I can say blended learning is the future. That is, now on, in all education, within few years, the education system will change, and always there will be fusion of online and the offline learning. All self-learning will be taught through online mode, and for all group learning, social learning, teamwork, group presentations, people will come to the schools and colleges. So the online is the future. So there is no question about we becoming anxious about what will happen due to this social media or the online or the Zoom and all that. That is going to be the future. Now, what is going to happen? Whatever we do in life, always there is a pro and con. Always, you give me any example, I will tell you there is this pro and this con. But we have to accept the change graciously. So now, as adult parents, we come from a non-digital background and we are learning the digital skills only in last few years. These kids from the age 2 know how to open the apps on a mobile without we teaching them. So their soul is already learned soul as far as the digital education is concerned. So they are going to flourish in this particular digital ecosystem, full stop, as far as this particular perception is concerned. Now, how about the quality of the online education? Oh my God, quality is extraordinary. Fantastic quality. There are so many online portals, whether it is Udemy or whether it is Coursera or whether it is HBS. They have fantastic basic level programs for the children to the CO level developmental programs. You have everything at your fingertips. Few programs are free. There are many good programs of 3 months duration costing only 400 rupees for the 3 months period. So I think this particular crisis is opening our eyes to a great opportunity of a online learning. So I will give the baton to my other panelist.
Hmm. Dr. Kelkar, there is
Yeah.
one question, actually maybe Dr. to any one of you, there is an interesting question that's come from I think this is a couple issue. They want to know how can they, as a couple, they are being honest here that they are having fights at home. As Dr. Swapna said, they're being very candid in my conversation here, and they're being saying that we are fighting here because sometimes it gets too much. And that fight is affecting our child. How do we control ourselves?
That's very important, not only during these disturbing times, but always, because there will be two people in the family may have different opinions, and there can be, difference of opinion, and there can be, conflicts that can, challenges which can arise. But basically, how we, communicate with the child about the conflict, and how the child ultimately knows that after that conflict, ultimately you are coming together and solving the issue together. That's the message which has to be given to the child. The child will definitely feel a little bit threatened when the adults fight, isn't it? Because it's scary for them and they don't understand. So, but only thing is, when there is difference of opinion, definitely you can convey that in a proper way. But at the same time, when the child is listening to in the next room or maybe in front of you, you have to come back to the child and talk about the conflict and a little bit about how you have come to some conclusion at the end, so that the insecurity doesn't remain in child's mind. Because basically why child gets panicked and afraid and scared is there is insecurity, inside, that what will happen to me, if my adults, my mother and father are fighting a lot. So that insecurity can be tackled only if you actually come back and do the repairs, we can say. Do the repair with the child. Do tell them about, make sense of what is happening, about difference of opinions. Tell them that there can be difference of opinions between two people, and we have to respect those opinions and come to some conclusion which can be win-win. So if that message is conveyed to the child will understand that, okay, the people may fight, my mother and father, maybe they may be having some difference of opinion, but at the end, they come together and they are together and they are there for me all the time. But that's what he needs to be understood. That's it. That the message goes that it's okay, but then ultimately we are there with you.
Rima, I
I'd
think
like to
yeah,
add something.
exactly. Yeah. So I was about to say this is a
Please.
strong hold of Dr. Sapna, and let Dr. Sapna
Yeah, Dr.
comment on it.
Swapna, I want you to come in here. Yeah.
Yeah, just a small thing that I'd like to add here. Thanks, Hemanji. We need to understand there's a difference between a discussion and a fight. The parents have to clearly bifurcate their talks and understand when the discussion is heading towards a fight. Let's call the fight a debate. And we need to demark a certain area for debate where a child is not allowed. So I think debates can be held in a bedroom and the living room can be for discussion. There is a real-time case I'd like to discuss with you here. Recently, there was a family fighting whether the father was positive. And there was a discussion whether the father should be admitted in a private hospital or a government hospital, since the private hospitals are charging high. And the mother said that, do you want to die? Why do you want to go to a government hospital? Now the child picked that up. And post that, the child has been in trauma because the father chose to go to a government hospital, which is also fine. But the child now feels that, what if my father dies there? So we need to be very careful about the debates that we have in front of children. So demark an area at home where there will be debates, and the rest of the house should be only discussions. Complete your debates and only then involve your child into it.
Very, very valid point. You're talking about, something that you also said, Dr. Swapna. You said, let's be open and be honest about even ourselves. Let's not fake it to our children. Let's be honest to them that we can also make mistakes. Hence, they bond with us and communicate to them the right ways. Right, Dr. Swapna? Dr. Swapna, can you
Yes,
hear me?
right. But
Yeah,
Swapna has
The audio
put
quality
forth
is
a
not good.
very
yeah,
good point about the demarcation between the discussion and
absolutely,
debate, and I think
absolutely.
that is a important takeaway.
So true. I'm moving on to one more question. I think, I don't know, Informa Markets needs to tell me when to stop because this is going non-stop. I've had more questions flowing into me right now. There is a parent or there is a professional who's concerned about teenagers. Again, there's a question for teenagers that if sometimes they can go off the balance, how do we control it? Of course, we've already addressed that. It's all about, what Dr. Kelkar also mentioned. Dr. Hemant, you have a question, on DISC. I think all these questions can be taken personally later. And most importantly, Dr. Swapna, there is somebody who wants to ask you, have you handled a COVID child? Did you manage to handle a COVID child? And can you tell us what's really happening on the ground, Dr. Swapna?
See, there's a huge issue. The problem is that a positive child also is not able to meet the children. I mean, the parents, sorry.
Parents, yeah.
So basically, there's a lot of issue that the children face. That's exactly why I'm saying you cannot keep your child away from the reality. You need to train them for whatever could be a possibility. It's not necessary that every parent starts talking to their children about COVID. That's not what I'm professing. But they need to understand the reality. They need to understand positive news. They need to know that people are getting better. The parents should teach them to take care of themselves and give them the right kind of news instead of letting them have an access to all the nasty stuff. The children has to be told, they have to be prepared that in case if this happens, then what? They should know. Like we have a will, or like we tell our children when we get old, what are you supposed to do when I die? We don't need to be that crude and talk to them that way, but we need to prepare. In case if something goes wrong, then you are strong. You are the man of the house or you are the lady of the house and you're supposed to be taking care. We need to motivate them. We need to give them a positive feedback that everything can be fine. COVID is not killing everybody. It's just an illness and it can be taken care of. But at the same time, they need to be given right information. What will be done with you? What happens? Doctors are not scary. They can take care of you. It's just a matter of 10 days. These things need to be shared with them if there is a problem. If there is no problem, there is no necessity of going into details. But yes, share more of positive news with them.
Sure. Dr. Kelkar, I'd like to bring you in here.
Yeah, I think being a pediatrician, I have been tackling this for last 1.5 months. And what I see is there is a definite guideline by American Academy of Pediatrics about how to communicate with children and according to the age group of the child. So especially those who are, early age group, below 5 years or below 6 years, we need to, talk to them that, adults are taking care of everything and they are safe. So the communication should give that message all the time. We need not tell everything about, COVID and all those things, but little bit about, hand washing, the techniques and all that can be taught. The child who is elementary age, more than 6 years to, up to teenage, has to be, they have a lot of confusion between reality and fantasy. And they fantasize things. There are a lot of thoughts which are going on. So we have to be, talking with them more, communicating with about, science behind it and little bit of, not in the according to as per the age group, but we need to be more communicative with them and communicate that, you are in the safe hands. And with the teenagers, of course, there is a whole lot of, different things we can do because they know a lot, the information is there. So we have to be more elaborate in talking about the science and what is happening and how the picture is globally and talk about. So according to the age group, I think we need to talk about the COVID as well as more than COVID. I think we need to address their feelings. So during the communication, their feelings should be addressed first. And of course, they get the information from outside, but whether that information which they are getting, because they are all the time chatting and on the social media, sometimes they may be getting wrong information, fake news and all those. So we have to clarify that. And it's very important that too much of viewing of this social media should be avoided by all. Because I think right in the morning to evening and night we are just looking at the score, what's happening, and that increases the uncertainty and anxiety. And mind well, anxiety is an emotion which is more contagious than coronavirus. and there is a pandemic of anxiety all over the world, and we
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
be use the techniques to manage that anxiety. Because of the
yes,
time constraint, I am not able to tell about the techniques,
yes,
but
yes,
definitely there are tools which we can use to manage anxiety in front of child.
yes. Dr. Kelkar, and to all three panelists, there are many questions, but I think we can do this. Maybe we need a part two of this. People want to know what kind of curriculum, what kind of EI techniques we can have for age groups 2 to 7, age groups 9 to 14. I'm getting these kind of questions that, what are the different techniques one can use? So I think, I'm really sorry, but I think time is a constraint. There are such brilliant questions coming. Maybe we can take it offline. I will probably request Informa Markets to get the attendees to meet you all or speak to you all personally, because they really want to know tools of EI. And Dr. Mr. Lavangare, Dr. Swapna, Dr. Sandeep Kelkar, you all are the best professionals in the business who can handhold us parents and us professionals. At
Thank
this
you.
point, I would like to wind up this most intriguing session for me, honestly, and say thank you and bring in Miss Neeta Surti. She's the head of projects for CBME to say her little bit on the entire experience. Thank you so much.
Rima, I think we lost Neeta. Mr. Yogesh Mudras is still with us.
All right, all right. Could I request then Mr. Yogesh Mudras to please, share with us his concluding views, and to probably take this conversation, probably a part two of this conversation is so necessary in my eyes. Thank you. Mr. Prasad?
Yeah, will just wait for him to
Sure. Can we have Ms. Neeta maybe? I don't know. She was
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, she just logged off. Okay.
Oh my God, panelists, there are questions of, I don't know, what do I say? We can't stop. Parents are like going crazy. And I respect that completely. There's a mother who's concerned about her 4-year-old child. There's another mother who's concerned about her 11-year-old daughter. I mean, anyways.
Rima, I'll be more than happy to answer these questions on email if required.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll be definitely by e-counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rima, I think we can close it. Yeah, I think we can conclude it.
Yeah, you sure? So we don't have Miss Neeta coming in, right?
Yeah, we are not able to get through her.
You're not able to get to her.
Yeah.
All right then. And Dr. Mudras as well, right? Mr. Mudras as well. All right then. So thank you so much, and thank you for this extra 18 minutes. But I think these 18 minutes were 18 minutes for life. It was worth it. Dr. Sandeep Kelkar, Dr. Swapna Patkar, Mr. Hemant Lavangare, it couldn't have been without you. And I think my audience will be all the more happy to meet you in person. Thank you, and thank you once again, Informa Markets. On behalf of Informa Markets, I take the liberty to say thank you to my audience once again. And I, Rima Lokesh, the editor of, the consulting editor for Connect CBME and founder Remarkable.com, say a humble thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rima.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Rima, and all the other panelists. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Chalo.